Everyone can be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe, I would love to tell you good morning, but that would be intellectually dishonest. I know I told you we were going to start at 10 o'clock, but what I told you on Wednesday when I read those preliminary instructions, that we have to try to resolve some legal issues before we get started in the courts. We have some legal issues to discuss this morning outside of your presence. So that's what the delay has been. It's not the fault of any of the lawyers. It's something that comes up in trial. And I also told you yesterday that Mr. Wilbourn, Mr. Gangula, Ms. Hall, Ms. Pastley decided to present additional proof at sentencing regarding mitigating factors that they will be allowed to do that also. But Mr. Wilbourn does not have to present any additional proof. Does everyone understand that? Yes. Mr. Gangula, Ms. Pastley, Ms. Hall, we have an additional proof to submit on behalf of Mr. Wilbourn. You may proceed, Ms. Pastley.
Thank you, Your Honor. Defense for Pastor White.
Pastor Ralph White. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a rule of sequestration still in effect, so if there are any other witnesses who anticipate testifying at this sentencing hearing, you have to wait outside in the hallway until you're called. You cannot discuss your testimony with anyone or allow anyone to talk to you about their testimony. Pastor White, how are you doing this afternoon, sir? Pastor White, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you will give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you, sir. Pastor White, watch your step when you approach this witness stand. It's a little bit steep. Okay, but definitely please give your hand if you need one, sir. You okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. How are you doing this afternoon?
Just great, yeah.
Good to see you. I'm good. Doing fine. Ms. Pastor, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Please could you state your name for the record?
All right. Pastor Ralph White.
Okay. What is your occupation?
Try to pastor. Pastor Bloomfield Baptist Church.
Okay, that's why you are a minister.
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been a minister?
I've been there 34 years.
34 years? Mm-hmm. As a pastor of the church?
That's right.
Okay. And do you know Tremaine Wilbourn?
Yes.
Okay. In which capacity do you know Tremaine?
Well, as a pastor, this young man grew up in the neighborhood, really directly across from my church.
Okay. Did you grow up in the Riverside community?
I did.
And was Tremaine part of this community with you?
And that was me. He was much younger, probably with my children.
Was Tremaine part of that community as well?
Right,
He was?
Mm-hmm.
What was it like to grow up in that community?
Well, now and then it's different, but it's difficult. You've got some very negative elements in that particular community, and that's, I think, how we were drawn together, knowing some of the things that those young people were facing. We provided outlets for them, basketball and things of that nature. They've come to some of the trainings, Vacation Bible School, etc. And there was an ongoing, I think every week we interacted with those young people. So all kinds of activities we tried to present, fishing rodeos, picnics, a whole 9 yards, everything that we could do to kind of occupy their time. But difficult, you had gang elements, you had all of that.
Have you seen any changes through the years happening in that community?
Yes, for the worse, unfortunately.
What do you attribute those changes to? What do you think happened?
Well, you know, with the changes, people moving from that particular community eastward, and then gangs coming in, and that kind of takeover, closing down of schools. There's just so many things that have contributed to, you know, the downfall of that community. And unfortunately, our young people are caught up in that.
Are you involved, you personally, in the community?
Oh, definitely.
Besides the church, do you have any other involvement in the community?
In the community, yes. Pretty much. Not only in that community. I'm chairman of our Law Enforcement Review Board here in the city. I'm the West Tennessee commissioner with the Human Rights Commission. And we bring all of that to the community to try to enhance the community and bring some positive attention to the community. So, yes, we're involved and away from what we do in church, we try to go outside and be church, and he and other young men, are part of that. He's not the first young man who's gotten into trouble that we've helped in situations even such as this. Just a couple of weeks ago, a young guy who was falsely accused of murder.
Objection, Judge. I don't think that is responsive or relevant.
We'll sustain objection. That's the relevance. Ms. Patterson asked another
Thank
question.
you. Let's go back to Tremaine. Tell us how you know Tremaine.
Well, I know him from interacting with him in our community, in the church, in sports and activities there.
How was he when you first met him?
Well, he's a nice young kid, and we didn't single him out, from anybody else. He was just one of the young people in the community, one of the young people we felt that needed help, needed assistance, and we tried to be there for them. Then they tend to kind of move out of your view for a while, come back, but we continue to maintain that connection with them.
In the time that you knew Tremaine, did you see him getting influenced by negative influences around him? Did he have contact with people in the neighborhood that were not such a good influence?
Unfortunately, most of the influence was negative, and that's one of the problems we have
In that specific
in that particular
Riverside
community. Right.
Now let's go back to August 1st, 2015. Were you directly involved into Tremaine surrendering himself?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Tell me what you did to assist him into coming and turning himself in.
Well, kind of set the record straight, if that's okay. But I saw him on TV, and I told my wife, I know that guy, and she says, yeah. So she saw the look of my eye. I said, let me see if I can get him to turn himself in. So the next day, I went into the neighborhood to one of the car washes there, and I inquired. I said, if you know what Tremaine is, have him to give me a call. I went to my clerk meeting, and after that meeting, I noticed I had 2 calls on my phone. And I returned those calls, and that was him. And I told him, hey, I need you to meet me at the church. Well, this is what I told the young guys who called. Tell him to meet me at the church. He said, I want you to meet me at my grandmother's. I said, no. I said, I think the other people would know where your grandmother lives too. Meet me at the church. So once we went to the church, we decided we won't even meet in the neighborhood. We gave him a designated place to meet us, and we met there. And prior to him getting to us, he called. It took a long time. We said, well, maybe he changed his mind. Well, what he did, he said, I didn't want to turn myself in to the police. I want to go to the U.S. Marshal. So we had to wait. The attorney we were working with actually called the U.S. Marshal's number, and we waited for him, and we turned him in to the U.S. Marshal.
Was he cooperating into that process?
Oh, yeah. He came, and we spoke and so forth, very cordial, and he sat in the back seat, and we were right around the corner from the marshal's where the marshal's office was, so there was not a lot of time to get into any conversation.
May I have a moment, Your Honor, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Let me ask you this, Pastor White. In the course of you being one of the main participants into helping Tremaine surrender, right? Mm-hmm. Later on, we did communicate together, didn't we?
Right.
Did you at any point talk to any of the family members of Sean Burton?
Yes, I did. I talked to his mom.
Objection, we approach.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. We do not have any further questions for us.
Thank you, Ms. Passley. State, you have any questions of Reverend White? Mr. Yes, sir, Ms. Johnson, you may proceed.
I don't know.
Maybe time passed. I just have a few questions for you.
Sure.
You indicated that Tremaine Wilbourn he grew up in that neighborhood where your church is.
Yes, sir.
Was that as a young man, or what kind of age are we talking about?
Well, he was preteen and teen.
And did you counsel him during those various periods of time, or what was your interaction with him?
Well, it was difficult. We dealt with all of the young people many times in group sessions. At that time, I could play a little basketball, but so we fussed on the floor. But just a lot of interaction with them. I've always just been active with those young people, and many times they would come to me with problems, different situations that existed in the community. So no specific instances, could I speak of, but I knew him. We knew each other to the point that he could come to me if there were any issues that he had.
So in other words, he was another young man who was in that neighborhood that you were aware of, that from time to time, no specific remembrance, but from time to time, you were available to him.
Yes, sir. Even today, his brothers come to the church and we talk about this situation and other things in the community.
And with regard to later on in life, you were involved with him with regard to issues with the probation office, the federal probation office, were you not?
I was not just, intertwined in that. I knew about his situation. He had kind of moved away from us, and he came back. I knew what he was going through, but we didn't have that kind of a communication. Probably, I'm sorry, I got always timers. That's probably, but possibly so. And I wouldn't want to say yeah, no.
All right. Now, I heard you talking about this situation with the surrender, the marshals, but you were familiar with them anyway, the federal people, were you not?
Federal marshal?
Yeah.
No. In what respect?
Well, as far as the people like the probation office people and trying to help work with Mr. Wilbourn.
I'm familiar with that office, but any specific things we're talking about, you might want to clear me up.
Well, but right now there's sort of a dispute going on between you and them.
Oh, as far as their reward that they offered?
Yes, sir. You have a lawsuit for $50,000.
Well, I would object.
You may approach.
Portion, but at present, there is a lawsuit that you have with regard to $50,000 for the surrender of Mr. Tremaine Wilbourn. Is that correct?
No, it's not 50. It's 50 and plus 10.
Well, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
It's 60.
If you bring it directly to me, I know where I'm going.
Okay.
But
well,
I don't want those
that's my fault.
law and order kind of questions.
Okay. That's my fault. I was just trying to establish.
That's all right. I understand.
That was actually
I pray for you.
legitimate. And that reward was put up by the U.S. Marshal's Office, was it not?
50,000 by the city, 10 by the U.S. Marshal.
Sure.
I'm sure.
Okay.
That's all right.
And the warrant that was out for him was U.S. Marshal's warrant.
No, sir.
Where is that?
There's a 10,000 by, but that is really not the issue, but I'll answer it. 10,000 from the U.S. Marshal, 50,000 from the city of Memphis, which they reneged on, saying that they really did not approve it. So therein is why the suit. But that had nothing to do with my turning him in, because I knew nothing of that when we turned him in. Okay, all that came as an after fact. Okay?
I understand, but my
Okay.
last question was,
I
were
understand.
you aware that the warrant was from the U.S. Marshal's Office?
I understood that there was a $50,000 later on from the city of Melbourne.
I think we might be, and I apologize, sometimes warrant and reward sound alike.
Nah.
People misunderstand it's actually not about the rewards,
Okay.
but about the arrest warrants. And you know who had issued a arrest warrant, it's Henderson actually, whether or not you knew the U.S. Marshal's Office had actually issued a warrant for the arrest of Mr. Wilbourn. Not a reward, but a warrant.
A warrant.
Please arrest Mr. Wilbourn if you see him anywhere. Without regard to money, but
Ah.
this is a arrest warrant outstanding for Mr. Wilbourn. So that's the question.
Okay, well, thank you for the clarification. Because I was,
sorry,
I'm going to help you when I leave here. Okay, but no, I had no knowledge of that. Well, again, when we turned him in, I saw him on TV at night. The next morning, I went to the hood, to the car wash, where I knew the fellows hang out, and said, if you know what Tremaine is, have him give me a call. And I went to my clerk meeting, and I had 2 calls after that,
Sir.
and then I picked up. Then I found out about the reward, et cetera, et cetera.
So you were not aware about the warrant?
No,
You just saw something on TV?
right. And I said, I know this young man that I've been working with since he was a little boy. My wife looked at me like I was crazy because she knew I was about to do something crazy, and I did. But anyway, and so we went.
Let me have Ms. Henderson ask you another question, brother.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Ms. Henderson, you may proceed.
And y'all hear you speak, though, Reverend.
Bless you.
With regard to him saying he grew up in there, were you aware that he had some various issues, for lack of a better term, as he was growing up?
Yeah.
You were aware of that?
Yes, sir.
And you talked about the changing neighborhood. What did you mean exactly, specifically about that?
Just a deterioration in morals and values and gangs coming in. Kids just involved pretty much in all kinds of vices. Once he grew up, he kind of grew away, okay? And you would see him from time to time, but we'd lost that connection. But in that we'd lost the connection, I didn't lose the concern, and so we picked up on it.
Thank you, Reverend White.
Yes, sir. God bless you.
Paxton, additional questions, Reverend White.
No further questions.
Reverend White, it's good to see you again, sir.
Yes, sir. Same
You
with
said
you.
you're present in court today, sir.
Yes,
You
sir.
excuse me an additional testimony. Step down from the stand. Please watch your step.
Okay.
You definitely to give you a hand there, sir.
Thank you.
You got it all. Yes, sir.
Sorry. Okay.
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a lunch break now. Your lunch should be here. Remember, of course, instructions still cannot discuss the case with anyone or amongst yourselves. And we'll resume the sentencing hearing at 2:00 p.m. You can follow Deputy Smith and see your box report in 1 hour and 10 minutes. It also should give you enough time to go outside and get some fresh air. Thank you all. For the record, jury is out. Any other issue you need to address before we take a recess?
Yes, sir.
I may call the court to recess. Court is time to recess until 2:00 p.m.
All right. Of course, that's recess at 2:00 p.m.
Ask the folks to sit outside.